Hello folks, it is time for some more hobby nightmares. If you listen quite closely, you may be able to see tomorrow, I recorded tomorrow's video, Thursday's video, before this one. So you might be able to hear where tomorrow's music stops and today's music starts, if you watch them in that order. Let's jump into some hobby nightmares, shall we? If you like what I do, subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out. We're getting towards 25,000 subscribers, so I can't wait to get there. And yeah, it's going to be an awesome year on the channel. So if you like hobby nightmares, you like what I do, and you're not subscribed yet, make sure you do. Every little helps. I love it. Come and join us. Anyway, let's get in with, I think, Sierra 134, or simply Sierra. Well, thank you, man, for sending in a hobby nightmare. He says, I've been listening to your channel since the early days of the original Dave and Titan Guy stories from way back when. Well, you are a dedicated fan, thank you very much. Yet this is my first time writing in a hobby nightmare. I've debated for some time whether I should submit my stories to your channel or not, as I feel that most of my tabletop related nightmares feel tame in comparison to what you have coming in regularly. Yet seeing you branch out from tabletop to all hobbies, along with Wednesday's Fast and Furious story, I figured that you and your audience would get some entertainment out of this one. I have some mild tabletop hobby nightmares, and I may share them one day, but today I want to regale you with a nightmare regarding my main passion: racing, specifically go-karting, and how my family and I nearly witnessed involuntary manslaughter. I've tried my best to go over this story beforehand. Still, I apologise if any mistakes slip through the cracks. The prologue. First off, thankfully, no one was seriously hurt. Someone did get hurt, but no EMTs had to be called, nothing to that extent. Unfortunately, some mental scars still linger thanks to what happened. Alrighty, this is going to get interesting. Rental go-karts seem to be getting more popular in recent years. However, in case anyone listening doesn't know what this hobby entails, it's exactly how it sounds. You show up at a track, indoor or outdoor, you pay a fee per race, and you're on your way. The carts, the helmets, all are supplied by the facilities. It's the easiest and most accessible form of motorsports. Anyone can give it a go. As we see with Hobby Nightmares though, being the most accessible form of a hobby can be a double-edged sword. Go-karting is no expectations. The pros, anyone can take part, giving the public a taste of what it's like to be Lewis Hamilton, I suppose. The cons, anyone can take part, inviting smooth-brained idiots in who think that they're Lewis Hamilton. There are different levels, I guess you can call it, when it comes to the companies that run these facilities. There are more professional ones, usually outdoors, neighbouring real racetracks like Sonoma Raceway. These tracks have premium pricing and strict requirements to enter, a valid driver's license, mandatory safety briefings, etc. Then there are the ones with no requirements whatsoever. No license required, no age limits, nothing. K1 Speed is one of these facilities. You don't have to worry about keeping the anonymity of the place. K1 is a large company with multiple locations all across the US. The Games Workshop of rental karts. You can run into anybody from semi-pro drivers to reckless idiots to stupid teenagers who think it's funny to take selfies mid-race. I wish I were kidding about that last one, but there we go. They aren't all bad. They do have safety systems in place to deal with the public. The main one being the karts themselves. They use all electric karts that the staff can remotely control the kart's power. With the press of a button, they can turn up or down the maximum power of the kart's output on a scale from 0 to 4. 0 being stopped, 1 being crawling speed for safety incidents, 2 slow speed for the warm-up lap, 3 race speed, and 4 unrestricted. Level 4 is only reserved for either empty tracks or for people who have proven that they know what they're doing. In my experience, K1 staff do a really pretty good job of monitoring who is doing what during a race. They aren't perfect, but safety related incidents are minimal. However, these karts are still very fast, able to reach 40 miles an hour, which, for being inside a warehouse, that's pretty fucking fast. Besides, this is still racing. It's a dangerous sport, and despite their attempts at keeping the public as safe as possible, accidents do happen. I apologise for the long preamble. I tend to over-explain, but I feel it's necessary to give some idea as to what this hobby is like to those who may have never experienced it. Without that out of the way, North, this would be a good time for a drink break, and here's where the story begins. Alright, cool. Let me take a quick sip of tea here. Ooh. Lovely. The nightmare. This was back in February of 2019. My dad and I had just gotten into go-karting, and upon discovering this hobby, my dad immediately decided that this is what he wanted to do for his birthday that year. We gathered up friends and family and registered for a party. At K1, there is a maximum of 12 people on a track at any one time. If you have a party of 8 or more, your track gets to have the track to themselves. We had 7, so the remaining 5 slots had to be filled out by random people. Everyone in our group registered for 3 races. The first 2 races were qualifier rounds, where you compete for the fastest lap rather than position, with the final race being a Grand Prix, a normal race to cross the line first. The first round goes without incident, my dad and I getting first and second by a sizable margin due to us being more experienced at go-karting. For the second race, they turn the carts up from level 3 to 4, unrestricted, yet the results are the same, my dad and I holding first and second. There was some downtime between the second and final race, partly to give everyone a break, but also to allow some of the other groups to get their racing in. I'm sat in a booth with a wall separating me from the track. There's a window by my booth, but it's too high for me to be able to see any of the racing while sitting down. Dad comes back with the paper telling us our lap times, and as we're about ready to start taking the absolute Michael out of each other, Dad pauses to watch the race currently going on out the window. All I hear next is the grating sound of screeching tyres on the smooth warehouse floor, followed by the unmistakable thundering crash of 2 carts colliding. My dad is speechless and I'm confused, having not seen what had happened. The booth we were sitting at was situated next to turn 1 of this track, a long sweeping 180-degree corner. In the middle of the corner were the 2 carts. The first cart facing towards the inner wall, essentially acting as a roadblock for the track. The driver of this cart, a middle-aged woman who was clearly shaken up by the accident, and more worryingly, had no helmet on. The second cart was parked on the opposite end of the first, facing the outside wall. The driver of that cart was a teenager, possibly 13 or 14, sitting in his cart completely unfazed. I'm going to have to go on one more tangent here to explain a bit about the carts themselves, hopefully to give a better image of what happened to anybody who may be listening. Carts are grippy, meaning they can take corners extremely well. On this track, for example, you shouldn't have to use the brakes due to how well these carts turn. However, they are also very sensitive, due to multiple factors: their weight, their short wheelbase, their small tyres, their brakes. Carts can be prone to odd behaviours if you aren't careful, and those odd behaviours can scare anybody who isn't prepared for them. When you slam on the brakes at racing speeds in a normal car, the rear gets light as physics takes effect. The weight of the car is pushed forwards onto the front tyres and off the back. If you aren't careful and you brake while turning, you run the risk of oversteer, where the back of the car slides out from under you. At racing speeds, a normal car can easily fall victim to this. A go-kart, 10 times more so, because of how small it is, and because most karts, if I'm not mistaken, only have rear brakes, so slamming on the brakes in a go-kart can be the equivalent of pulling your emergency brake at highway speeds. I cannot stress this enough. This happened. It sounds like a cartoon, but I assure you, this did happen. Since I didn't see it for myself, the version of events I'm about to tell you is from my dad, and from the other witnesses in the group. The lady is starting a new lap, and she's entering into turn 1 at full speed. These carts can take turn 1 at full speed, but she didn't know that due to her inexperience. Fearing that she's going in too fast, she slams the brakes mid-corner in a panic. The cart spins like a top, leading her and leaving her perpendicular to the rest of the track. In comes the teenager, quite a ways behind. He sees the lady sideways, stopped in the middle of the track. His reaction? To gun it, full speed. What? He T-boned into the side of her, his cart hitting the lady at just the right angle to lift the nose of his cart. He ramped up and over her, the undercarriage of his cart dragging up her shoulder. Once the cart met her head, it ripped the helmet right off. Luckily, the straps of the helmet gave away first, otherwise her head would have gone along with it. It all happened in the span of a second. Staff quickly rushed to the aid of the lady, and by some God-given miracle, she was okay. Granted hurt and in shock, but who wouldn't be in that situation? The worst part of this whole thing, the teenager's reaction. I bet he was laughing like a dickhead. I bet he was laughing. When it was all said and done, his sole expression the entire time was that of complete apathy. I can't put it into words, but there's a difference between somebody who's shocked but speechless and somebody who just doesn't give a shit. And the vibe of this kid read that he didn't care about what had happened. He didn't care that he could have killed this woman. It would be one thing if he tried to stop and just simply couldn't, but the speed one would have to go to ramp your cart over another person indicates that he made no such effort to stop, and indeed put his foot down. I would also be less harsh on him if he panicked in the moment and showed remorse for it afterwards. Panic hitting the gas is in a stressful situation, is a scary common reaction for people behind the wheel. While it wouldn't excuse what happened, I'd be more understanding if that was the case. But no one thought that. No. Everybody who witnessed what had happened said this kid had no such remorse. He came in thinking this would be like playing Need for Speed or Forza. Thus, he had no care for the consequences of his actions. Real life racing, even at a lower level like this, isn't a game. Things go wrong if you aren't careful. Staff have regaled me and my dad with stories of people losing fingers in these carts. You need to have the mental maturity to realise what risk you're taking, and this kid certainly didn't have that. Well, what happened? Did they kick him out? The aftermath. I don't remember exactly what punishment was levelled on the kid. I think he was pulled from the race at least, but I get the feeling that he wasn't banned for the incident. Well, I'm guessing go-karting is such like a one-off thing for most people that it's pointless banning him. But at least he got out of there. This is purely speculation, I admit, but my gut feeling tells me that he wasn't banned, and his parents didn't discipline him either. If that's the case, shame on both. As for the woman, she pulled out of all of her races that day, and I don't blame her. I wouldn't be surprised if she said, you know what, fuck this go-karting shit, and again, I wouldn't blame her. As for our group, much of the enthusiasm that we had earlier was now gone. Everyone took part in the last race to get their money's worth, but it took a lot of convincing. For some of our group, witnessing that incident was enough to never want to go go-karting again. The final race went ahead, but the carts turned down to level 3 for the rest of the day. Don't blame you. And my dad and I, frustrated in the moment, but understood the decision after it was all said and done. I don't remember who won the last race, and it doesn't matter. Your dad won. Your dad won. Now, if you won, you'd be like, and I won the last race because I have a massive penis. You know, that'd be, yeah. Whenever we look back on that story, one of us brings up the what-if scenario. What if it happened to one of our family members? I know this isn't a healthy thought, but we both agree that everybody involved is extremely lucky that it didn't pan out that way. Anyway, North, that's my story on how I nearly witnessed manslaughter. Well, more accurately, I nearly heard a manslaughter, as I didn't physically witness anything. Sorry this wasn't a tabletop hobby nightmare, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. I hope it wasn't too difficult for you to read. I may one day share my tabletop hobby nightmares, or, if you and your audience would be interested, I could share nightmares regarding my automotive adventures. Yeah, do so, man. Adventures where I can say that I nearly got myself killed on more than one occasion. Thank you for all that you do for us. You are truly a treasure in the hobby space, and I hope all is well with you and your family. Sincerely, Sierra134. Well, thank you very much, my friend. And yes, absolutely, send some stuff in. If that had happened to somebody in my family, I would have been over that guardrail and beating that person over the head with my helmet until he stopped moving. But that's just me. Let's move on to our next hobby nightmare, and it is from Conrad. How's it going, Conrad? He says, "Hello, my name is Conrad. My hobby related to wargaming started around the turn of the 1990s and 2000s. I don't primarily play, I mainly collect and paint. Because of this, I often browse online forums and discussion groups, and I've noticed a certain phenomenon. Specifically, some companies that produce games and miniatures for games somewhat fulfill wishes. Okay? What I mean is that sometimes players create a kind of competition in converting or scratch building models. After some time, if there are enough of them, the company producing the game releases a model with rules so that it's playable and reflected in the game. This happened with Infinity and Fat Yuan Yuan. And it was also the case with the Colossal Squig for Orcs and Goblins in Warhammer. Similarly with Space Marines, players started enlarging them with simple conversions or sculpting them from scratch to match their lore-accurate size. There are many more examples like this. I sometimes get the impression that modelling contests are held to find interesting and innovative miniature designs. Companies, of course, give players a lot of creative possibilities in this area, which is due to the significant abundance of lore for released models. This leads players who want to be unique to create models or entire armies that come from unreleased lore. The conclusions and thoughts that come to mind are very diverse and divergent. On one hand, there are players who want to play or paint an army that is unavailable, who want to have a unique miniature, or simply want to do so, and what can you do about it? On the other hand, there is a company that has a product. On one hand, it must care for the customer and their satisfaction, but also for profits and return on investment. One should also not forget that the owner and truly the main creator of the entire game is the publisher, and it is they who decide what goes into it. The question is whether there's a certain kind of coexistence here between the players, I'm not sure if they're aware of this fact, and the company that actually controls the product. The point is to create a mechanism in which everybody involved in the procedure benefits, leading to mutual advantages. What do you think? Well, this isn't a hobby nightmare, but a very interesting question. I'm going to be honest. I don't think Games Workshop value your opinion whatsoever. I'm just going to do it from Games Workshop's point of view rather than anybody else, because they're the company I know most out of all the ones out there. Yeah, they don't give a shit. You can walk into their store with a converted Eldar model for 25 years. You know, you could have thousands of these models being made by other people, and they'll go, do you know what, that's good. We now don't need to make that model. Because we want to sell Space Marines. Yeah, you brought up the Squig there. Yeah, that's from decades ago, man. That was when Games Workshop were an entirely different company back then. They're not like that anymore. They do not give a shit about you or your opinions. You could go in with a converted Eldar model. You could have thousands of people out there who say, let's say the Incarnate, right? Everybody converts an Incarnate because it's a super popular model. Games Workshop go, great. We respect your right to make that Incarnate. Thank you very much for making it. Now we don't need to. Because you know what you've done? You've bought the Incarnate model to convert it anyway, so they don't really give a shit. Games Workshop don't care about your opinion. Just saying, Conrad. They honestly couldn't give less of a shit. Anyway, moving on. Cristobal says, "Hey North, how are you? Hope things are going well over there. My name is Cristobal. It's not my real name, and every name in this nightmare is changed for reasons that will become obvious a bit later. Basically, this hobby nightmare will deal with heartbreak, and when I finally thought I had it all together. You see, I've been an Eldar fanboy since I was 8, which is kind of weird now that I think of it. I've always been a bit of a loner, someone who generally kept to themselves most of the time. Through high school, I had a few friends, and we generally were a close group of 3 dudes heading through life. We would sit in the library during recess and lunch breaks, poring over 40k codexes, rulebooks, and White Dwarf magazines we were lucky to scrape together. People would point and giggle at us, but we really didn't care. We'd head to the local games workshop on Fridays for the open gaming evenings, and the guys there would take us under their wings, including the manager, Marcus, who was super stoked to see us there whenever we turned up. We played games with other people's models, learned the rules, and generally helped each other through some pretty rough times. I don't mean bullying in school or anything, I mean parents divorcing, and even the death of Kyle's mum, one of our trio. When that happened, Jake and I pretty much moved into Kyle's place to help him and his dad out. Well, that's good, man. That's really cool. That's a lot of maturity for somebody who's, so young. When the time came to leave high school, that was super hard for me. We lived in the Midwest, the actual Midwest, and so whilst it was a beautiful part of the country, there really was relatively little for us to do. We spent the last summer before heading off to college playing a huge narrative campaign ending in a big apocalypse game in Kyle's back garden near to where his mom's ashes were scattered. Isn't that lovely? That's really nice. Kyle won and was kind of teary-eyed when we all shook hands and said good game. Dude. He left for Denver University soon after. Kyle, Denver. South Park fan, maybe? Is Denver in the Midwest? Let me know. But then again, if he's going to university, then he's going outside the Midwest. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Life kind of spiraled from here, with us all heading in different directions and losing our love for the hobby over time, as other things kind of got in the way, namely booze and girls, obviously. But at the completion of my studies, I found myself in a real rut. I had acquaintances in college, but no real ride or die bros. No one to stay in touch with post-college anyway. So I was kind of in stasis. I had a good degree in computer science, but had no idea what I wanted to do with it. Worse, I had lost contact with everybody and moved back into my grandparents' place. I felt lost for a long time. I loved my grandparents to death, but to them, I was always just enough as I was. And I'm lucky for that, but that also didn't push me. Dude, that's so true. That's so true. Like, my grandparents, I was always like the apple of their eye, like because my sister was the favourite of my mum, and that side of the family. They were, they would always dote her and stuff, and I was always like the red-headed stepchild, even though I don't have red hair, but so my grandparents overcompensated and said, well, North's our guy then. Do you know what I mean? So we're just gonna pour our energy into him. And whilst that was great, it also meant that you've got no reason to grow, you've got no adversity, right? Most of the success I've had in life has been to prove. So basically, my sister and I have different dads, right? So my mum was married to my dad, and then he basically divorced her, right? Cheated and divorced her, and left. And then a few years later, she met somebody else, and they got married, and they had my sister, right? So we never really looked at it as having different dads. We just, we were brother and sister, and that's how it is. Anyway. Because, obviously I wasn't this guy's kid, I was treated a bit differently. Now, he's a good bloke, he's a great bloke, right? And he went out of his way to try and, treat me as his own and all that, but it was always, here is my daughter and North, sort of a thing, you know what I mean? And again, he loved me. He never told me he loved me, but he loved me, you could tell, right? But he had his own sons from a previous marriage. My sister was kind of adopted by them, and I was just there, sort of a thing, So that's how the family doted on her, didn't really give a shit about me. Dude, I'm not asked about it, it's just how it was at the time. So that's why my grandparents, really took good care of me. But most of the success I've had in my life has been because I've tried to prove those people wrong. Because they kept saying to me, oh, you won't go to university, you won't go to Durham, it's too hard, too difficult, we couldn't do that. Well, I fucking did, and I got a really good degree, and now I'm a teacher, so go, shut up your ass, right? That kind of a thing. Why are you doing YouTube? That's never going to work out. You're never going to make money doing that. Well, I did, and I am. Shut up your ass, right? That kind of thing. But if I was surrounded by my grandparents all the time, I would be one lazy fuck. because they loved me no matter what, right? They absolutely adored me and were like, yeah, no, you're enough. You don't need a job. You're fine. You're fine, right? You're enough as you are. No matter what you want to do in life, we support you. Now, whilst that's amazing, and I loved it, and I loved them dearly, my grandma passed away a few years ago, unfortunately, but, like, I loved them dearly, it is also, iron does sharpen iron, right? So some adversity, it's in Stoic thought, right? In Stoic thought. So in Stoic thought, adversity is absolutely essential to a young man. You need to come up against adversity to rise above it, to push through it, and to actually learn how to be a man, right? How to push through obstacles, and the obstacle is the way, sort of a thing, right? The obstacle is the way. It's how to adapt and use every obstacle you come across as an opportunity rather than an obstacle that's going to sap all your energy from you. Now, if I was surrounded by my grandparents all the time, I probably wouldn't have developed that, right? And I still kind of haven't to this day. I'm working on it. I'm getting better at it. But you do need a bit of adversity, is what I'm saying. Anyway. It was so easy to just slide into a rut and go down an internet rabbit hole. One day, I came across one of your videos, namely talking about being in a mental rut and how to get out of it. Oh, I did a lot of those videos back in the day, yeah. I wish I could have taken the advice, but I was not ready yet. What your videos did introduce me to, however, was Warhammer 40,000 again, namely its narrative side and its stories. Good, man. I searched around different areas for Eldar models and decided on the local old store. I was dreading it though. It was the same store I used to go back to when I was a kid, and it did feel like going backwards, you know? Like all of my friends had moved on. Even Jake and Kyle. And here I was, going back to the same place we had loved when we were kids. I felt a lot of shame, a lot of guilt. I felt like I was missing out on life. I had FOMO for life itself, and experiences I was just not having. I felt like I was underwater. I reached out to Kyle and Jake, and whilst they thought it was cool I was into the hobby again, they had moved away, remaining in their college cities, and with the women they had met there. They had jobs. Kyle was going to be a dad of all things. I wished them well, but the hole inside me only got bigger, and I felt deeper underwater, disconnected from everybody else. Dude, we've all been here. I swear to God. This is where Joan comes into the picture. I met her at an event at the Games Workshop. She was playing her Necrons, and I kind of beat the crap out of her with my Eldar. Good. Good man. Based. No mercy. Don't simp. No mercy. Take it to the cleaners, son. We had a lot of fun, and at the end of the game, she asked me for my number. Warning sign. Red flag. Sorry. Sorry. A lot of you are going to be like, what? This is cool. No. 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 Warning sign. This is a big red flag. If a woman asks you for your phone number, dudes, she's either a unicorn, she's either the one you've waited for your entire life, the really cool girl who's assertive and knows what she wants, who's into all the same hobbies as you, right? She's either that, or she's a fucking lunatic. What are the chances of her being the first rather than the latter? Alright? I'll give you 1 in 10. I'll give you a 1 in 10 chance that she's a cool girl who's assertive, and just like in the movies where she's that really cute tomboy who knows what she wants and goes out to get what she wants, right? I'll give you a 1 in 10 chance that she's that person. The other 9 are fucking mental. Do you know why it is, though, dudes? Because most women with value who have not been used like the town bike don't need to ask for your number. You ask them for theirs. Do you know what I'm saying? Right? I'm serious. Most girls who are worth a shit, worth a damn, you will ask them for their number. They don't need to give you their number. They'll never give you their number. out of the blue. Or, not give you their number, they will never ask you for your number, right? I'm going to rephrase that. They'll never ask you for your number. They'll never ask you out. They might give you their number, right? And it's like, oh, dearie me, there's my number. Call me if you want. Bye. You know, that kind of a thing. That's one thing. But for them to ask for your number, dude, it's happened to me in the past. Each of them has been mental. Each of them has been mentally broken. Even if they've been able to hide it for a month or two, it's eventually come out that they're fucking crazy. Okay? Again, I've had my number. I've had a number given to me by women who've turned out to be kind of normal. That's been fine. But whenever a woman said, "Hey, can I have your phone number? Let's go out on a date sometime," dude, warning signs. Danger, Will Robinson. Okay, this is either the girl you're gonna marry, right? Who's amazing, who knows what she wants. She's a go-getter. She's completely mature, right? She's so comfortable in her own skin that she just asks you out. Or she's fucking crazy. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but it's true. I'm telling you how I've lived my life, man. I've come across this a lot in my time. If a woman goes out of her way to ask you out as a man, you're either going to marry her or she's fucking mental. And she's going to ruin your life. Danger sign. Big, big danger sign. Alright. Or a really enticing sign, right? I mean, depending on how mature you are, this may be a really enticing sign. It's like the fish has jumped into the boat and whacked itself with the oar. Anyway. Alright, we had a lot of fun, and at the end of the game, she asked me for my number, going out of her way to say she wanted she wanted me to take her out and to do something sometime. It was like I was drowning in the sea, or just adrift in the storm, and somebody threw me a life ring and gave me a chance to come aboard. That's kind of a good analogy, yeah. Yeah, because if you're really depressed, and somebody gives you an out, you grab it, yeah. I grabbed the chance with both hands, and went home with the happiest I'd been in a long time. My grandparents told me how much happy I looked that evening. And my grandpa knew right away that the only thing that produces this much happiness in a young man is a girl. Your grandpa's based. That's most grandpas are. Most grandpas are based as fuck. My grandma told him to be quiet. Still, I was so happy. On our first date, I was a nervous wreck. I didn't know what to say or do, but Joan didn't really seem to care. We got on so well, and shared a kiss at the end of the first date, so again, I went home really happy. We dated for several months, and eventually, I got my own place, moving out to my grandparents' basement thanks to the meagre wage I got for my server maintenance job. It's boring, but it lets me do other stuff like play video games, and whilst I say it's meagre in pay, it's not for my area, it's just meagre for the profession as I live in the rural Midwest. I would always look forward to heading back and seeing Joan though, watching movies, playing 40k, playing video games together through Steam, and right next to each other. I loved it. The summer we spent together in 2024 last year was awesome, and I replay it in my mind over and over again. You see, in September 2024, at the end of summer, Joan just stopped returning my calls. She completely vanished. Weird. I thought we'd get a blowout here. I thought that's where this was going. I had absolutely no idea what had happened. After a few days, I finally texted her mom asking if she was alright, if she'd seen her. She confirmed to me that Joan was fine and that she was sure she would contact me soon. That was weird, but no call ever came. Dude, the mum's in on this and takes no responsibility. If this is my daughter, I'm skull-dragging it to that phone. You don't do this kind of thing to people. You don't. You learn respect for other people. You text them and you're brave and you say, listen, I don't want to be with you anymore. You know what I mean? This is a parent who has no clue how to instill, actual values and decency in their children. She stopped coming to the Games Workshop, returned no calls or texts, was totally unresponsive on Steam, and never even appeared to be online. The worst part was other people asking me how Joan was, why she wasn't with me, and I had no answers. I felt like such a fucking idiot. The thing is, since then, my life has kind of had the colour drained out of it. I am a recluse again. I'm at my job and I go there like a zombie. I play rogue trader, check the servers, rinse and repeat. I know people would kill for that as a job, but it's killing me, dude. What did I do wrong here? Even Warhammer has kind of lost that edge for me. I stopped going to the Games Workshop a few months ago. It was just not the same, and I caught one of the guys talking behind my back that I was the kind of guy to off my girlfriend, quote unquote, and that's why she's disappeared. Let me be clear, I'm not. I'm as normal as can be compared to most of the fools who frequent the store. Eventually, I texted Joan's mom, telling her that I felt kind of stupid and it was really not good of her to just disappear on me like that. I was mainly concerned for her safety and had been left with no answers as to what I had done wrong. Her mom did not text me back, but Joan actually did from a number I did not recognise. It read, and I quote, "You are not owed an explanation. Please stop trying to contact me, Joan," unquote. And that was it. I texted back, of course, but my number was blocked. Since then, I've just been in the spiral of not enjoying life, of having that life ring taken away from me and being returned to the sea almost. Adrift, you know? Am I being ridiculous? What do I do from here? Should I press for more answers? No. Any help you can provide would be good, North. Cheers, Christabel. Alright. I'm going to be honest with you, dude. Any woman who does... This isn't just unpleasant. Right? Any person... I'm going to say woman because it's mostly women who do this, let's be honest. But any person who does this is evil. They're just plain evil. You know? Leaving somebody in the lurch like this is an evil bullshit right here. This is not good. Yeah, it sucks, man. And do you know what? I hear stories like this all the time. Do you know who I hear it from the most? Guys like yourself. Guys who are lost, who are normal-looking dudes, who seemingly should have a girlfriend, but they're lost because they don't. Right? They don't have any structure. They don't have anything to write home about. These kinds of women seem to glom onto you, like lampreys, like parasites. And as soon as they get a better option elsewhere, they drop you. I'm really sorry if that's hard to hear and hard to listen to, but it's true, right? As soon as they get a better option elsewhere, they drop you, because you mean far less to them than they mean to you. You're an option to them, whereas they're your whole thing. They're your whole life, right? They're your whole stuff. Do you know why abandoning a dog is evil? It's not just because it's animal cruelty. It's because to that dog, you're their whole world. You're their whole world. You're their guy. You're their pack. Right? Yeah, it may just be a dog to you, but to them, you're everything. That dog will jump in front of a bullet for you. In front of a car, whatever. Right? Abandoning that dog in the middle of a road or whatever, that's evil. That's why it's evil. You have no empathy whatsoever. And you should probably be thrown in the sea, right? We don't need you in the gene pool. Same thing goes for women who do shit like this, who just ghost guys. Guys who gave their all to the relationship and are lonely, and they thought they had it. They thought that it was in their grasp. They thought that their life is turning around, and so they gave you everything, and your response to that is to not even give them the decency. Do you know what she denied you, dude? She denied you closure. Because she has no empathy. She has no compunction or thought to how you feel, to how this will affect you, because all she thinks about is fucking her. I've been broken up with, I've done the breaking up. But you always give the other person, even if the reason is just, I realised one day I don't want to be with you anymore, even if it's that, you do that. You be cruel to be kind. You let them move on. You let them move on. What she's done she's not let you move on. She's either a sociopath who's just not thought things through, no empathy whatsoever, right? Or she's a coward who doesn't want to own up to the fact that she doesn't want to be with you anymore, right? Either way, Christabel, you're well shut of her, mate, as we say in the UK. You're well fucking shut of her. Get rid. Lucky escape. Dodged a bullet. Mate, you met a hobby hottie. You were with her for several months. You probably shagged her brains out, right? You had your fun. Okay? She ghosted you. Okay, move on. Move on. Right? You got your dignity. You're the good person here. She did this shit to you. You got your dignity. Move on. One other thing, Christabel. Do not let this colour your perception of women in general, because that way lies celibacy. Right? That way lies celibacy. The one lie that the manosphere will teach you is that disrespecting women gets you pussy. It doesn't. It doesn't. Because I wouldn't have sex. When I was single, I really wanted to have sex with as many women as possible, because why wouldn't you, right? But even I wouldn't have sex with somebody that hates me, and I'm a dude. And I really want sex, right? And I wouldn't do that to somebody who hated me. Now imagine being a woman and controlling access to sex. Would you want to have sex with somebody who actively hates you? No! You will walk as far away from that person as humanly possible. Don't hate women, dude, right? Respect your own time. Respect yourself. You are the prize. Respect yourself. And look at this as an opportunity. As I say, the obstacle is the way, dude. Look at it as an opportunity. That's what this is. Learn. Grow from it. Internalize it. Feel the pain. Internalize it. Go to the gym. Focus it somewhere else. Go running. Go to the gym. Do a creative outlet. Right? And when another woman comes along, shoot your shit. Right? Get over there. Absolutely go in there and go, hey, you want to go for a drink? What do you have to fear anymore? Dude, the worst thing that could have happened has happened to you. You got ghosted, and you got strung along, and you're heartbroken. What's there to fear? Nothing. Right? I'm going to take away your fear. Start martial arts. Start boxing. Start boxing. When you're getting hit in the face, every other problem in the world becomes very, very, very trivial. Very trivial. I'm telling you. Right? You can even do it without boxing. If you're good at, like thinking things through. In reality, when your boss is shouting at you, when your bus is late, when your car breaks down, are you in immediate danger of dying? When you lose all of your money, are you in immediate danger of dying? No. Those things absolutely suck ass. But, are you actually in danger of dying? Are you in any danger? No. Right. So it's trivial then. So it's trivial. Who gives a fuck, right? You should be going through life like that. I'm not saying, don't look after your money. Absolutely do, right? I do, right? I'm scared of losing my money or things going wrong, right? Just like the rest of you. I'm not some Zen Buddhist. I'm not some Stoic philosopher, even though I do love the Stoics, right? But what you need to do is take all passion out of it. Whenever you're looking at a woman in a bar, think to yourself, am I going to die if I go over and talk to this woman? No. No. Right? I know a lot of you go, what if she's armed? No, you know what I'm saying, dickhead? You know what I'm saying? Okay? What's the worst that's going to happen? She'll say no. And then what will I do? I'll go back to my drink. Well, who cares? Don't take rejection personally. Right? Just don't take it personally. It's not personal. The minute you go through life like that, fear loses its superpower over you. The minute you go through life thinking, yeah, it's not personal, it's fine. Oh, you don't want me? Oh, that's fine. Cool. I'll go find somebody who does. Bye-bye. The minute you go through life like that, fear loses its grip on you. You're done. You're Teflon. Can't touch you. Right? You literally become, and they shall know no fear. That's who you become. You're like, yeah, Okay, fine. That's what happened to you, Christabel. That's what happened. She just left. Didn't want to be with you. She was a coward. She didn't want to be with you. She didn't think you deserved an explanation. So fuck that bitch. Move on. Move on. That's it. You've got your own dignity. Treat it as a learning experience. Internalize that pain and channel it somewhere else. And the next time you see a woman you like, know that some hottie out there did like you. She was too much of a coward to say that she didn't want to be with you anymore, but she did like you. Use it, internalize it, take what you can from it, and move on. That's my advice. All right? Anyway, I love you a long time. I will speak to you very, very, very soon. Well, tomorrow, actually, for some more 40k Rantage, where we're going to be discussing a very controversial topic on why Games Workshop should stay far, far away from modern-day politics and politics in general. Oh, yes. See you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye now.